Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are looking at the purist's last stand. I'm talking about the 2023 to 2026 Honda Civic Type R, chassis code FL5. Look, it is quite simply the most refined hot hatch Honda has ever built. And today, we're going to break down absolutely everything you need to know about it. So, picture this. Honda looks around at the entire automotive industry right now, right? Everyone is pivoting to automatics, dual-clutch transmissions, all-wheel drive, and of course, electric powertrains. And Honda's response? They look at all of that and basically say, you know what? We are going to keep building a 315 horsepower front-wheel drive manual hatchback. We're going to charge $48,000 for it, and dealers are still going to mark it up another $10,000 because absolutely nobody else has the courage to build this car anywhere. It is just a brilliant, stubborn masterpiece. Okay, let's dive right into this because that number is absolutely staggering. That is the Nürburgring front-wheel drive production car lap record. It was reclaimed in April 2023 by the lightweight Type RS European variant. It clocked a blistering 7 minutes, 44.881 seconds, officially taking the crown back from the 2019 Renault Megane RS Trophy R. And hey, if that wasn't enough for you, back in March 2022, a prototype went ahead and set the front-wheel drive production car lap record at Suzuka with a 2-minute, 23.120-second run. I mean, this proves that this car, which is a true spiritual successor to absolute legends like the EK9 and FN2 Type Rs, is a completely dialed-in track weapon right off the factory floor. So what actually makes it tick? Well, under the hood is the highly refined K20C1 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4. It's actually an evolved version of the previous FK8 engine, but now with a redesigned turbo, a freer-breathing exhaust, and get this, 48% more radiator-effective opening area. It pushes 315 horsepower here in the US and slightly more, between 326 and 330 horsepower in the Japanese and European specs, just due to our emissions tuning. Torque sits at a really healthy 310 pound-feet. But here is the real kicker. Honda explicitly chose to keep this car a 6-speed manual only globally. No automatic option, no DCT, no CVT, nothing. Power goes strictly to the front wheels through a helical limited slip differential. As for production, the car itself is built at the Yorii plant in Saitama, Japan, but the engines? Those are exported from the Honda Anna engine plant over in Ohio. Oh, and it features a lightened flywheel, a highly rigid aluminum shift lever, and an auto rev match system that, yes, you can seamlessly defeat if you prefer doing the fancy footwork yourself. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth does it put 315 horsepower through just the front wheels without completely ripping the steering wheel out of your hands? The secret sauce is the dual-axis front suspension geometry. It essentially eliminates torque steer. Seriously, it's like magic. When you pair that with the helical limited slip differential, pulling the car out of corners, it completely transforms the front-wheel drive dynamics. It honestly gets to the point where it feels almost like all-wheel drive. And this genuinely overbuilt nature is a huge part of why this car is such a good buy. We've seen draggy demonstrations out there showing Stage 3 tuning builds reaching an absolutely insane 620 horsepower on ED5 fuel. And wait, the craziest part? That is with a completely stock long block, a stock clutch, and a stock transmission. The factory internals on this thing are genuinely overbuilt, giving you some incredible tuning potential if you want to go that route. Now, what's really interesting about all of this is that it brings us back to reality. Sure, it's a purist stream, but we have to ask the hard question here. Is the FL5 just a little too pure for daily driving? So let's take a brutally honest look at its flaws and what it actually takes to live with this machine every single day. All right, let's neutrally break down the real, actual warnings you need to know about. First up, you've got to keep an eye on your oil. The K20C1 engine tends to burn about 1 quart every 4,000 to 6,000 miles. Now, that's typical for this platform, but it is something you absolutely must actively monitor. Also, you need to be careful with really aggressive shifting. Hard shifts can lead to 6-speed manual synchro wear, and rebuilding that is going to run you between $1,500 to $2,500. And while it's much less common, there have been a few rare early turbocharger failures, an issue kind of shared with the older FK8 platform, which also hit you in that $1,500 to $2,500 repair range. Moving on to the more moderate daily annoyances. On the driving side of things, there is a documented 1 to 2 second throttle off rev hang on downshifts. Good news is that's software addressable. Also, the exclusive Plus R mode adaptive dampers, yeah, they are genuinely uncomfortably firm for daily street driving. Visually, owning this car is a bit of a headache too. Since there's no front lift option, you are almost guaranteed to scrape that front splitter on every single driveway, to the tune of $800 to $1,500 to fix. Add in those easily rash 19-inch BBS-style wheels and super sticky factory Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires that burn out in about 15,000 to 25,000 miles, costing a couple grand to replace. And your daily running costs are going to add up fast. You might also encounter some intermittent wireless CarPlay drops or Honda sensing radar and camera glitches, though to be fair, those are typically fixed with software updates. Then we have some minor quirks and, quite frankly, some baffling deletions. Like a lot of modern Hondas, the FL5 has a remarkably thin clear coat that is highly prone to rock chips. Getting paint protection film applied is strongly recommended, like right away. Oh, and if you get a flat, there is no spare tire included, just a repair kit. Also, that massive, glorious rear wing definitely limits your rear visibility. But crucially, to keep costs down, Honda actually decontented the US models. They completely removed the folding mirrors, the rear tinted windows, and, yep, the parking sensors. Which perfectly leads into this beautifully accurate summary I heard. The FL5 has 95% of the GR Corolla's performance, half the all-wheel drive drama, twice the build quality, and Honda decided to charge you $48,000 and remove the parking sensors anyway. It's just deeply purist, you know? There are basically no luxury appointments to speak of. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where this car sits in the market compared to its rivals. Take a look at the competition here. The Toyota GR Corolla gives you 300 horsepower and all-wheel drive for roughly similar money. The Volkswagen Golf R MK8 is also all-wheel drive and offers an automatic, though it's undeniably less raw. The Hyundai Elantra N is significantly more affordable, offers an 8-speed DCT option, but it's just less refined overall. And of course, we can't forget its predecessor, the FK8 Civic Type R. The FL5 is much less visually aggressive than the FK8, it features a similar but refined engine, and while the FK8 has lower used pricing now, the FL5 really just stands completely alone as the definitive, purely analog, manual-only benchmark. So let's talk about the financial reality, because it's wild. Demand has been so fierce that 2023 and 2024 examples were routinely selling for $5,000 to $30,000 over MSRP in dealer markups. Crazy, right? Today, new 2026 models carry an MSRP of $48,090, and luckily, markups are finally easing down to around $2,000 to $10,000 in the more expensive markets. But out on the used market, used 2023 examples with 20,000 to 40,000 miles on the clock are still trading between $38,000 and $52,000. I mean, they're trading at or above their original MSRP after years of ownership, purely because supply is genuinely limited and the demand is very, very real. And hey, if you're looking for a true collector-grade investment, the 2025 European Ultimate Edition, which is limited to just 40 units, trades for well over $75,000. So, what is the final word here on buy or buy? Well, the verdict is a massively enthusiastic buy. This is, without a doubt, the best Civic Type R ever built. It's the last Honda ever to be sold this way. Manual, front-wheel drive, retaining that naturally aspirated feeling despite having a turbocharger. It's simply one of the greatest driver's cars of the modern era, at a price that, while high, is totally reasonable for the pedigree you get. Look, if you can find a new one at MSRP, order it immediately. If you're buying used, just make sure to verify those oil consumption records, check the LSD operation, and closely inspect that front splitter and the wheels for curb damage. At the end of the day, Honda will probably never build another car like this again. So the only question left for you is, are you going to secure one before this era of pure analog cars is gone forever?